2025 regular board business meeting. I'm going to call us to order and ask Sean to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, we have all board members in attendance. David Ligatich is joining us virtually. The rest are here in person. We have a meeting agenda. Is there?
I would move to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
All right, it's been moved by Holly, seconded by Sean to approve the meeting agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next up is a land acknowledgement. Chris, would you mind reading that?
We acknowledge that the land where Gresham-Barlow School District is located rests on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, bands of the Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We also acknowledge the systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. As settlers and guests on these lands, we respect the work of Native nations, leaders, and families, and make ongoing efforts to center Indigenous knowledge, creativity, resilience, and resistance. We consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today.
Thanks, Chris. All right, now we have time set aside for citizens' requests of the board. This is an opportunity for the board to listen and learn from the community. Board members are not able to respond to public comments during the meeting, but appreciate hearing public input. Comments can be submitted in writing before the meeting or given in person during the meeting. Pursuant to Oregon House Bill 2563A, the meeting of the Gresham-Barlow School Board will be presented online to allow for virtual public attendance in the meeting. If you're a member of the community and wish to provide a written public comment, please use the citizens' comments to the board form, which is in the back. And email your comments to the board secretary, Sarah Avery, at avery4, AVERY4 at gresham.k12.or.us by 4 p.m. the day of the meeting. I'm aware, received one public comment. Did we receive any since then? Okay. And that is Anne. And how do you say your last name? Nessie. All right.
So I know what it is like to teach students all day long for the whole school year. And, but since I've retired, I worried about our kids' future, especially with the heating of the planet. And I know the legislature passed a bill that we're supposed to teach something about climate change or resilience to climate change at least. And first you have to love nature to protect it. So we've learned about building native forests, and we built 2 of them right up on Walters Drive. And we want to invite you all to come and tour them. I'll give you invitations at the end. It has my contact. It's funny that plants are really tiny when the neighborhood planted them. This is how tall they got in 4 months. It's a very fast growing forest. That's why they're planting them all over the world, because we put compost and straw inside the compost, and then all the trees are planted together. And so the roots intertwine, making a wetland that sequesters way more carbon than the average forest. And so the kids will learn about water and how the soil is healthier in the tiny forest. This has been done all over the Netherlands because they were afraid, urban kids in particular, were not exposed to nature, and nature is a calming influence. And I'll get into that, and I want to be done quickly so that I won't disturb your meeting. We would like to invite you all to come. I told you about the forest. It only costs about $2 per square foot. Pretty much, I know we can get local grants. Uh, we had people just donate trees to us, or basically it's not very, this one is a 600 square foot forest, so it could easily be an outdoor classroom. And what I want to tell you about is how it could help students as an outdoor classroom. From research, any student's sense of well-being increases as more time is allowed outside in full spectrum light. They know that. It reduces your cortisol levels and your adrenaline levels. So if you've got kids, all kids who are kept inside all day long would be calmer in a forest. A factor that makes ability to learn more possible when students have these kinds of breaks during the day. And of course, learning can be accomplished in the outside classroom as well. So if they're outside getting all that light, they're also learning something. It would take some time for the teachers to learn how to establish rules for sitting out in the forest. We have a bench for the teacher, and then there'd be places for each kid to sit. You could probably even get 2 classrooms in the one I would show you if you come. You can read a book, of course, or work on notes using clipboards. They'd still be outside, it'd be healthier. Students can also learn that technological devices like cell phones have their place, but so does reality, which is what we're supposed to be teaching. Just taking them away isn't going to teach them. They've proven that. The school districts that have previously taken them away or locked them up, the kids just use them more when they go home. So what we really want to do is teach them that reality is important too. Math and history lessons can be taught with paper and pencil clipboards, and students can sing in the forest. I used to teach music. Increasing outside time with full spectrum light has also proven to boost one's immunity to diseases, and it's more than just one disease. So this research was done by many places, but Oregon State University, I can give you the study, just did one. And they said it made the front page of the Oregonian, I believe, because they said this being outside is not just a luxury, it's for every kid. Every kid should be outside a little bit more. And if we can teach them some of the time outside, better yet. These small native forests, well, plus these native forests actually heal the planet too. So we've got a win-win situation here. These small native forests require no care by the school or maintenance after the first 2 to 3 years. That's a proven fact. They're been around for about 50 years. They were developed by Akira Miyawaki, and because they're planted all in one day and they retain their own water, and we have all that straw to prevent. We haven't hardly had weed at all. It's pretty easy, honest.
Let's see, I just wanna-
We haven't watered it that much either.
So we're a bit past time. So if you
Okay.
can, yeah, thank you.
So I think I can safely recommend we get started here in Gresham. If it's all over the world, we should do this. It's a win-win situation. Sorry.
Thank you. And you said
get
you had invites for the board to see?
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you want me to pass them out now?
sure, that'd be great. Or
Okay.
or you could hand them to Ms. Avery and we'll,
Anyway, I've got lots of volunteers.
I'd ask the superintendent has had an engagement and maybe follow up with Ms. Nessie. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Next up, we have a consent agenda. We have 7 items on the consent agenda. Uh, Items listed on the consent agenda are matters considered by the board to be routine, and they're enacted by one motion. The motion requires a second and a vote. There's no separate discussion of items on the consent agenda unless a member of the board requests specific items be removed and placed on the regular agenda. Our 7 items, we've got minutes from special work session on July 2nd, regular board business meeting on July 2nd, special work session on July 23rd, special work session on August 20th, minutes from our regular board strategic planning session, which is on August 21st, and a financial report and a personnel report with employee contracts. 7, right? I think it's listed 7. So those are our consent agenda. Anybody request to pull anything?
No, I'd make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, moved by Chris, second by Holly. No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. And now get to move on to recognitions. And we have a number of recognitions to do today. Excited to have everyone here. And I'm glad you got to experience the thrill of board procedure to start your evening. So, but now we're really grateful you're here, and I'm going to turn it over to Sarah to get us going.
Thank you so much. Ooh, this is powerful. I don't have to lean in. Thank you, Chair Peterson and members of the board. It's my great honor and privilege to stand in for Principal Bear, who is getting to be at his daughter's first volleyball game in which she is a starting setter. So very important night. So I was happy to take on this for him. One quick note as we recognize our amazing athletes is that these are from spring sports of last year, and some of our athletes were seniors, so may have already moved on to college or their other pursuits and may not have been able to be here, but we want to recognize them all the same. So we're going to start off. Tonight, we have the opportunity to recognize our softball athletes from Barlow High School. In the spring, the Barlow softball team had the following league honors. Mount Hood Conference Player of the Year was Charlie Ann Renner. Mount Hood Conference Pitcher of the Year, Kaylee Picorni. And Mount Hood Conference Co-Coach of the Year, Coach Rob Gerke. If you are here, please come on forward so we can get your picture and let's appreciate them. Wonderful. Okay. Next, we will be recognizing the conference level achievements of the Sam Barlow High School boys tennis players. The Barlow boys doubles teams finished first, second, and fourth at the district tournament. Doubles partners Caden Farrar and Camden Pate were the Mount Hood Conference League champions. If you are here, please come on up so we can recognize you. Okay, next, we have the privilege to recognize the conference level achievements of the Barlow High School girls tennis players. The Barlow girls doubles teams finished first and fourth at the district tournament. The doubles team of Gianna Maloney and Lizzie Weber were Mount Hood Conference League champions. If you're here, please come forward so we can recognize you. Up next, we get to recognize conference and state level achievements of the San Barlow High School track and field athletes. The Barlow track and field team had the following league winners and state podium finishers. Giovanni Bogarin in the 400 meters, first in Mount Hood Conference and sixth at the state meet. Caleb Perry for javelin, first in the Mount Hood Conference and second at the state meet. Alethea Lam Tieng, discus, first in the Mount Hood Conference and second at the state meet. She was also sixth place at the state meet in shot put. And Esme Acevedo for javelin, first in the Mount Hood Conference and fourth at the state meet. If you are here, please come on forward. Yeah, parent. Congratulations. Oh, one more. Quick. Running up to get a picture. Cute, cute. That's cute. Excellent. And finally, we are very excited to recognize the conference and state level achievements of the San Barlow High School girls flag football team. The Barlow girls flag football team finished first in their special district and then won 4 consecutive playoff games to be crowned Oregon State's girls flag football champions. Please come forward.
While they're coming forward, I do want to also recognize that they are the first football program in Barlow's history to bring home the state title, boys or girls. So congratulations.
Congratulations to all of our athletes, and I want to do Principal Bear proud and say, go Bruins.
Yeah, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess now. And if you're welcome to stay, I don't want anybody to feel pressure to go to the door, but if you'd like, you could use this now. All right, we're going to reconvene. Um, Next up are board reports and requests, which are updates from board members. I'm going to start with,
Chair Peterson, did you want to do the superintendent's report first?
He does. He did start off.
I guess so. I guess so. I had a premature check mark on my agenda. Tracy.
You already knew what I was going to say. Good evening, board. Last week, we held our annual beginning of the year convocation celebration with all 1,100 of our employees at Barlow High School. The event highlighted a GBSD alum and a current senior from Gresham High School. The gathering concluded with a fantastic medley of peppy sing-along songs performed by music educators from across the district, and they were a smashing hit. It was fantastic. The feedback from staff was positive. Our theme was Together We Thrive, and that sentiment was felt by many. We welcomed nearly 10,000 students back to school this week, and it's a time of excitement and anticipation, and by the end of the week, total exhaustion. So far, we're off to a good start. Our fall sports and activities are in full swing. Students and staff are busy getting back into school schedules. We have begun implementing a district-wide electronic device management plan in response to the governor's executive order. Our plan was designed around practices that were taking place in many of our schools already, and this provided the foundation to our approach to this work. Our school leaders and staff are coming together to build consistency across schools and are excited about having fewer distractions in classes. There will be some challenges for sure to navigate, but we are off to a good start. On Wednesday, August 27th, the first quarter revenue forecast was released as well, and this is the first of 8 forecasts that we will receive this biennium. There are some areas of concern and some careful monitoring that is needed as we navigate some of the budget uncertainty that lies ahead. A key number for us as a district to monitor will be our student enrollment. We are still taking in some registrations this week, but overall our enrollment is trending down a bit from last year at this time, but that was also anticipated. This is a trend that will likely continue year to year. And to end things on a high note, I had so much fun welcoming students to school the last 2 days. Mayor Travis Stovall joined me at Hollydale Elementary School yesterday, and we had a blast. Students and families were excited to see their teachers and friends, and our buses are rolling, our kitchens are open, feeding students, and staff are happy to have students back in our classrooms. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, well, now we'll move to board reports, and I'll start with Heather.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Heather Coleman Cox, and I'm one of the newly elected board members to this school district. And on my platform, when I was running my campaign, there were 2 things that were very important to me. The first one was to ensure that teachers have all the tools necessary that they need to instruct in their classrooms. And the second one was for the students that do not want to go to college after high school. There are a lot of children that are students that don't want to go to college after high school. And I feel like as a district that we need to give them alternatives in school, in high school, where they can become trained and have skills and certifications in skilled trades. So as a result of that, on the second to the last day of school this past school year, my first graders teacher sent a message to us, to the parents, asking to return a blue folder. This folder was very sturdy, and it was something that she said she recycled year after year because of budget cuts and her being unable to get the folder new. So that email touched my heart. And I reached out to the manufacturer, a company, C-Line, and I expressed to them that we had a teacher that was asking parents to return this folder, and can we please have 200? Initially, they responded and said, no, tariffs and all this and that. And I said, wait a minute, are you telling me that folders are a high ticket item and we can't get voters. And so eventually I got in touch with the customer of experience manager, Amy Rogers, and she sent a box of 150 folders that we requested. And I did deliver those to Ms. Kaler today, and she was very happy. Secondly, I would like to report that there has been a partnership with the Innovation and Partnerships Department. Prior to running, I got in touch with the executive director, Carla Gay, and she gave me a rundown on what her program is all about. And I was able to reach out. One of my sponsors was UFCW Local 555, which is the Western Carpenters states. And I connected with them. They have a program that they bring into the schools, and they work with high school students to certify them and get them ready for skilled trades. And that is exactly aligned with one of the benefits I wanted to bring to this district. So I reached out to Jeffrey Scott, their outreach specialist. And I connected him and Carla, and I also notified our superintendent. And he just wrote a note that says our partnership with Gresham-Barlow School District was reestablished thanks to Ms. Heather Coleman Cox's partnership with the Western States Regional Council of Carpenters. Gresham-Barlow School District had a previous relationship with the Pacific Northwest Carpenters Institute, who merged into the Western States Carpenters, and due to some new staffing changes, connection was lost. Heather was able to reestablish and reinforce the previous partnership with aspirations of a new partnership MOU, reopening opportunities for guest speaking and classroom tours of their apprenticeship training center, and ultimately opportunities for living wage apprenticeships for Gresham-Barlow students. So when I joined the board, when I ran, it wasn't just to be up here and whatever. It's really, I want to make a difference in this community. Now I would like to read a statement. For 25 years, this board held its meetings on Thursdays. For the past 4 years, that tradition was changed to Wednesdays to accommodate board member schedules. At this time, however, one board member has offered a reason to keep meetings on Wednesdays. It is so they can support student activities. Supporting student activities is valuable and meaningful. Nonetheless, these activities take place on multiple evenings, and support is not restricted to Wednesdays. By contrast, a rare scholarship-funded graduate program in child behavioral health offered by the University of Oregon Portland campus, which directly strengthens my capacity as a board member to guide policy and support the district directly, conflicts with Wednesday night board meetings. At our July 2nd, 2025 board meeting, Chris Howitt placed an item on the agenda to return board meetings to Thursdays. I filed the motion, and it was struck down in a 5-2 vote. On July 5th, I contacted Dr. Patrick Bell, professor of the Child Behavioral Health Program, to inform him that I was elected to GBSD School Board and that our meeting nights are the first and third Wednesdays of each month, allowing me to be present in class every other week. On August 11th, he responded with, "Congratulations on your election," but also shared that after meeting with administration, he was advised the frequency of missed classes would prevent successful course completion and program credit. The Child Behavioral Health Micro-Credential Program is designed to train leaders in recognizing and analyzing the underlying causes of student behavior. It provides tools for understanding how trauma, stress, and other factors show up in classrooms and how systems, not individuals, can be improved to support students more effectively. For a school board member, this is critical. Our role is not to manage day-to-day classroom issues, but to provide governance that ensures district policies, budgets, and initiatives that align with what students truly need. The program gives me the ability to analyze student behavior data at a deeper level, to connect the patterns we see across schools with policy solutions, and to hold the district accountable for addressing those needs. For example, if discipline data reveals a rise in suspensions or expulsions, the training equips me to ask, is this a result of unmet mental health needs? Are our interventions aligned with current research? Do our resource allocations reflect the actual changes students are facing? These are governance level questions that help shape district-wide policies and ensure equity and fairness in how we serve our students. In short, this program strengthens the board's ability to govern wisely. It ensures that when we vote on budgets, programs, or policies, those decisions are informed by a deeper understanding of student behavior and well-being. That translates into a stronger accountability, better policy making, and ultimately a district that is more responsive to the needs of every student and family we serve. My attendance in this program is not for the benefit of one school or 3 schools or even 10 schools. It is for the benefit of the entire district. This training is valuable to the entire student body we serve. Every student in the district deserves leaders who are prepared to address their real challenges. In response to this scheduling conflict, the board chair has graciously looked for ways to help, even polling the board about starting planning sessions earlier. But the business meetings remain unchanged. That means I would still be absent from full meetings, which is not my intent as a duly elected school board member. I truly appreciate these efforts, but partial attendance is inadequate and unfulfilling. It does not allow me to fully serve in this role this community elected me to. I want the public to understand if Wednesday meetings continue, it is not by my choice that my presence and contributions are diminished. It is the result of this scheduling conflict. My program is just 9 months and then it's complete. Even just a temporary accommodation would suffice. In closing, by choosing Wednesdays, the board has made a decision that deserves to be revisited because it limits an opportunity that would directly strengthen this district's governance. As one of the 2 newest members of this board elected by the public to bring fresh perspective, I believe it is fair and necessary to ask for a revote. If my presence at meetings is diminished, then I cannot fully bring that perspective and background to the table. And when the richness of diverse voices and experiences absent, this board loses the very strength that allows us to explore solutions that can favorably impact our entire community. With the facts now before us, this board can weigh not just convenience, but the broader impact this program will have on our ability to lead wisely and serve the entire district. I urge us to reconsider, because what is at stake is larger than just one schedule. It is the strength of our leadership and the trust of our community. As new members join this board in the years ahead, fairness requires that consideration be given equally to all members' ability to serve per this community's wishes. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to start out by saying welcome to Superintendent Dr. Klinger. Welcome to new school year and welcome to being our superintendent. So I'm glad that you're here. I was able to attend convocation this year, and I have been to a few of them. I'm just going to say I've lost track. I've been to a few of them, and because if I start doing the numbers, then it just gets out of control. This, I think, was probably one of the best convocations that I have attended. The energy, the enthusiasm, the brevity, it didn't go on too long. And the people who spoke had a message that resonated. The young man who spoke about his name and how his name was a barrier to him being seen as who he was by people not pronouncing it correctly. And so I had a lovely conversation with him afterwards, and we both shed a little tear over that. And I was so glad that he was there. Dr. Klinger alluded to the musical performance, which traditionally we've had students perform. This time it was the teachers. And I've got just enough room left on my phone. I did record the entire thing. I'm going to have to offload it somewhere. It was the most fun that I've ever seen people have, and I truly enjoyed that part as well. I want to go shout out to Brenna for helping me stand up, because those chairs were not easy to stand up on, but she was able to lift me up a little bit. But it was truly a celebration, a back to school, and excitement, getting on with the work, and it was really together we thrive. I got it in there. I get in there. A couple of other things going on. We have later in the agenda, item number 24, the Oregon School Boards Association. It's time for nominations for board as well as for the legislative policy. I will be speaking more to that when we get to it, but I am requesting that I be considered to continue on the OSBA board. One of the other things that OSBA is trying to do in particular, as they brought on Stacy Michelson as the new lobbyist for OSBA, Oregon School Board Association, is to really include more board members in the lobbying, giving us more timely information that's more directed, and helping us truly be more consistent and effective in our lobbying with our legislators. They need to know what's going on. They need to know what it is we're asking for, and giving them a defined thing that we would like to see happen. And so she's got us all fired up about some things. Let's make sure my notes. We all have been assigned different schools. So there's a couple of schools that I have not been to in a number of years, and I'm looking forward to that. So as some of those school visits, I think I just received a note the other day from one of the principals about an event to come out and do. Being assigned to the new schools doesn't mean that I cut off the other schools. So anyone else that would like to invite me out for reading or visitation or activity, I'm trying to do more of that, changing my work schedule just a little bit, and hopefully making that something that I can accomplish a few more visits out to our schools. I get the same kind of energy and boost when I go out and visit a school. It makes it worthwhile to come and do these meetings and be here and take time out to take care of the business. And then I get to go have the fun when I go visit a school. So with that, I think that's all my notes that I have, Chair Peterson. So, all right, thank you.
Kick over here to Brenna.
All right. So this summer, I got the opportunity to go to the OSBA conference in Salem with Heather and, am I supposed to say Dr. Klinger? And so that was great time of just learning as a new school board member. Also along as a convocation was amazing. It was my first and it was a really good time. You could just sense like this unification and the energy in the room was just to die for. So I had a blast being a part of that. And so a huge thank you to all the teams that like pulled together to make that happen. I know, Athena, you were a huge part of that too. And so a huge thank you to you and your team. And then I did my youngest goes to Hollydale, and so that's what I got to participate in for this first day back to school. I'm looking forward to the day that I don't just get to mom and I get to be a part of like participating in what some of you guys got to do. And so that was a really fun thing to just be a part of from a parent perspective. I love that we get to do that and be a part of that. And then lastly, just celebrate Gresham High School. I'm really excited for just their new leadership and the energy that's coming off of them. You could sense it at convocation, but also I know the high school football team went to Liberty's Jamboree and they were able to win all of their games, which was amazing. And then Gresham also hosted their soccer Jamboree at Gresham High School. And so not 100% sure how those scores ended up going, but
Saw boys soccer one.
yeah, yeah. So I'm just super excited for the future of Gresham and just the new leadership there. So I think that's all I've got.
Hey, Sean.
All right. So this month, I attended the board retreat. It was, jam-packed full of information. It was very productive. Afterwards, myself and other board members were able to meet the new administrators, which was a really cool opportunity. And I would have gone to convocation. I love convocation, but I think our director of finance would appreciate this one. My school is bringing on iVisions, and my CFO said I had to go to the implementation meeting, and so that really bummed me out. I'd much rather be at convocation than at iVisions implementation training, but it is, we got to make the money, I guess. And it's been really cool the last couple of days. I'm Facebook friends, Instagram friends with a lot of people around the district and seeing all the first day of school pics, kids with big smiles. It's probably one of my favorite times of year because everybody's so excited and so happy. And I did attend the Barlow football game on Friday against Roseburg. And unfortunately, they didn't do so well this game, but they had the last 2 minutes, they had a drive that you couldn't believe. And so they ended up well at the very end, even though the score doesn't reflect it. I am looking forward to the Gresham-Barlow game. Not this Friday, but next Friday over at Barlow. Hopefully I'll see some board members and whatnot there for that game. That'd be awesome. And lastly, I love visiting schools. I love visiting classrooms. I don't force myself into the schools or the classrooms. I am always wanting an invite. So if would have something for me to see, please email me. If it works in my schedule, I'll be there 100%. So that open invitation is out there.
I'm gonna jump virtually. David. You have an update.
Hey guys, wish I was there to be honest with you. I have had the opportunity to move my business into its third state now, so I'm down in Arizona. I had a great opportunity to come back and fly in and see all you guys in person for our day of training and learning. Unfortunately, logistically, I had to fly back the next day where we had the largest dust storm in the last 100 years. So if you've ever seen Hidalgo, it was exactly like him running from the sand on the horse. It's been a great 109 degrees here for about a week. and we're currently under flood and tornado warning right now. So it's a totally different world here. But I had a great time with you guys. I'm glad we were able to get in person and meet some of the new principals and the new staff at the food trucks, which was absolutely amazing. My goal was to fly back and be with Mr. Cook and Mr. Milliken over at Kelly Creek, and I'm going to tell you right now, I totally missed out on that. It was unfortunate. We do have some logistical issues going on here that I really need to take care of. But this is the time of year where I absolutely love greeting the kids and welcoming them back. And then you get the end of the year where you got graduation season, and then you have all the stuff in between, which is really fun. But congratulations to all those students that were up there earlier. You guys are amazing. You're doing amazing things, and your community absolutely loves you for that. And then I want to say thank you to all the teachers, all the staff, for the kickoff of the new year. I know you guys are coming in running and loving it. And that's what I got for you guys. I am going to try and not get flooded out tonight.
Thanks, David. Holly.
Well, first of all, I'll just say, David, stay safe down there. It sounds like that takes some work. So start with that. I'll just keep mine short and sweet. I did attend the board retreat in August, which is a great day to just be with the board members and plan for the year. That was at the end of August. And then I also went to convocation at Barlow High School. Before I left to the gym, 3 people had already told me that it was the best one they'd ever been to. So that was really great. There was great energy. Gresham High School definitely showed up, which was awesome to see. And I'm looking forward to visiting the schools this year, supporting students. And then on a personal note, I sent my oldest off to college this summer. So it's been a busy summer, but I'm excited for the school year to start. Thank you to the teachers and congratulations to the students on another year.
Beauty of going last is a lot of people mention everything that you were a part of. I didn't get to go to convocation, so I wish I was able to. I had a work conflict that particular day, but I'd echo that the retreat, getting to meet the new administrators and feeling the enthusiasm of this year is palpable. I think just a huge shout out to our licensed classified teams that have gotten the schools beautiful, ready, and the enthusiasm that our teachers are showing to welcome our kids back. I'm excited for this year. I think we've got great things in front of us. Grateful for Dr. Klinger's leadership and the cabinet. Very excited for this year. With
Chair
that,
Peterson, I totally missed even saying that I was at the board retreat as well. I especially appreciated that all of us were there, that I know we were busy this summer, a lot of things going on. I thought it was amazing, the support that we had, the consultant that came in, the board members that were there, as well as Dr. Klinger brought her administrative team as well. And I thought it was a very collegial group, and I definitely enjoyed that. That was not something that I meant to miss. It was a high point, but convocation was so much better. So.
all right. Well, now we get to hear from representatives of those hero groups. So let's start with GBA Matt Wallace.
Awesome, thank you. Excuse me. I also want to echo what a lot of you have shared about the convocation this year. It was fantastic, not just in its briefness, although that was appreciated, I'm not going to lie, but in the messages that were shared. And I always love to see the students perform, but it was especially meaningful to see the teachers up there and doing their thing. And I mean, in all honesty, I don't know about you all where you were standing, but there were people in the crowd around me with tears in their eyes because they were so incredibly moved by the work that they did for that. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty awesome. And before I get into this, I also want to say I was a little bit disappointed, Dr. Klinger, that you didn't mention visiting East Gresham for open house and coming in. And I'm still waiting to see the picture of you and I holding that Husker football. I haven't seen that yet. So one quick side note, though, and I wasn't sure I was going to share it, but I'm going to because I think it was fantastic. I'm engaged with parents. Bunch of parents in the room, didn't even notice, not sure how long Dr. Klinger and Athena happened to be there. But I glance up and they're standing there. And the first thing I see is Dr. Klinger going, I'm at 33 33, Dr. Klinger. That's 33 seats in this classroom because I knew immediately what she was doing. So that was fantastic. It's been a great start of the year. I want to say just personally, I'm exhausted, as I'm sure many of you are, but excited for another year and another opportunity to serve the kids in our community and work with the parents, of course. It's insane to think that I think I'm the second longest tenured classroom teacher in that building now, and I still feel like a newbie student teaching for Dr. Klinger a number of years ago. So, all right, here we go. Thank you and good evening, Chair Peterson, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Klinger. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the GBA and its members. The association continues to value and appreciate the time that you invest in the students and the families of the Gresham community. I want to recognize and speak a little bit about our teachers and kind of what we're experiencing by first of all saying I've never been more proud to be a public school educator. It's because of you, those of you watching online, and the other educators in this room and across our district. Things seem to get tougher and tougher year after year, yet day after day, you continue to make a difference. You give students the confidence to think independently and creatively. You help each child discover their unique potential. You create community in your classrooms, your schools, and your neighborhoods. You do all of this while facing budget cuts, culture wars, oversized classes, and a growing divisiveness in many of our communities. When even the simple act of making classrooms welcoming has been called into question, thinking of the Idaho teacher who'd been told to remove a sign that said, "Everyone is welcome here," told that this was a political statement and not a responsibility of educators, and the refusal to remove it an act of insubordination. Imagine that, offering students a feeling of safety and belonging labeled as insubordination. Being a public school educator is only getting harder. These attacks on public education and unions threaten not just our profession, but our communities. This means children will arrive at school with greater needs and fewer resources to meet them. And yet, you persist. You continue to inspire, to challenge, and to nurture, because our students are the true change agents, and your work gives me hope. But hope is not enough. We must fight back for a better life, for affordability, opportunity, and dignity for our students and for our communities. Because today, the very foundations of humanity, healthcare, food security, and of course, public education are under attack. Educators in schools from pre-K to higher education are being targeted for doing what we've always done: teaching history honestly, promoting equity, defending freedom of thought, and protecting every child's right to learn without fear. I look forward to working in collaboration with district leadership and our school board to ensure that we are working to protect every child's right to learn without fear before we ask them to thrive. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Tia Ross, OSEA.
Thank you, Chair Peterson, fellow members of the board, and Dr. Klinger. This is an exciting time of year, again, that we get to welcome our students and each other back into our buildings, and we feel like this is going to be a pretty great year. So it's so fun seeing the littles come in. I say it every year, the little kinders are my favorite. This is also a bargaining year for OSCA Chapter 8, and we are looking forward to the continued practice of interest-based bargaining with our district. And well, some of us are really looking forward to that because it is fun. But anyway, that's all I've got, and let's have a great year.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're going to move into some action items. The first one up is nominations for OSBA Board of Directors, Multnomah Region, position 18, and Legislative Policy Committee, position 17, 18, and 19. So for public awareness, the Oregon School Boards Association, we are a member of that organization. That organization pulls its board from representatives of school boards throughout the state. So we have an opportunity today, and this district has been blessed to have Chris serving on the OSBA board for a number of years. How many total years?
I think it's 15.
Yeah, there you go, 15. And what that provides is just a regional representation, but when Gresham-Barlow can provide a person, it gives us particular insight into a state agency that's strong and powerful and can advocate at a time when we need advocacy. So that's my little prelude. I suppose I should read it. We have a couple of options as a board today. We could, and the first, we'll deal with them in two separate instances. So the OSBA board, their position 18, which is one of them from Multnomah County, is up for election this year. And all of the legislative policy committee positions are up for election. So under OSBA's governance structure, member school boards are required to take official action at this meeting to nominate representatives for their region if they choose to do so. There's currently one OSBA director seat open, 18, which is held by our own Chris Howitt. Positions 17, 18, and 19 are open for the Multnomah region on the legislative policy committee. This evening, the board will be asked to determine if any Gresham-Barlow members have a desire to serve on the OSBA's board of directors, or to nominate a candidate for some or all of the positions representing the district's region. At our board retreat, we were looking for interested parties and very excited to have Chris interested in the OSBA work and Heather interested in the legislative policy committee work. So board, we have an opportunity to nominate them or nominate someone else if there's other interest that's happened since our last meeting. But in any case, our action here will be effectively a nomination for the Multnomah region that would then each school board district would consider them as a candidate. Okay. Okay, so there's some recommended motions.
I would move to nominate Chris Howitt for position 18 on the OSBA Board of Directors.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Holly, second by Sean, to nominate Chris Howitt for OSBA position 18. Any discussion?
I'll do just a little bit. I have been on the board for a number of years, and every time that I have an opportunity to run, I think about what else do I need to finish? What else do I need to do? And there's still something that I want to do. Things have changed over the years. The engagement level has changed. The opportunities to make difference in students' lives has changed. The organization prior, back many years ago when I first started, was not really engaged with board members. They represented, but it was more services they provided to districts, because we do get a number of services that we get from the Oregon School Boards Association. But board members we received some training, but not quite as much as we do nowadays. There's more at stake to get that training. And so I looked at it long and hard, because it is a very large time commitment to do this, to do it well. And I have a few more things that I would like to see in place before I go. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to run for continuing to serve on that board.
And I want to thank Chris's volunteerism for that board. You know, you represent us well, and you've represented us well for many years. You know, it takes a lot of time and dedication. So thank you.
Any other discussion? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So we have our nominee. Now I have a question. There are 3 positions in the Legislative Policy Committee. Are we nominating for a specific position?
That's a good question. I think last time they were open, we only had one. So I think you could nominate for anyone. I'm not sure. So you know, Chris?
I think you have to nominate for a particular one. And my thought on that is, if we nominate for one and it turns out there's 3 people that went for 17 and nobody for the other 2, we can make some adjustment to it. But I do believe that we have to pick a position.
So we would just pick one of the
Yeah.
17, 18, or 19.
And I've been in contact with some of the other board members around. I have not heard specifically of anyone that is running for position 17. I think that would be a safe one to nominate. Is there someone that's doing, or night? Which one have you heard, Heather?
No, I haven't heard either.
Okay, okay. So they're all equal in terms of opportunity and representation of Multnomah County. And I think probably we're a little bit ahead of the game as far as board meeting to be able to do this. Tracy's shaking her head that Yes,
Wait.
it's early in the month and we're getting it. So if we get it out there, it will help other school districts that are looking to add those other 2 positions. So
I would move to nominate Director Heather Coleman Cox for position 17 on the Legislative Policy Committee.
second,
Okay, it's been moved by Holly, seconded by Chris to nominate Heather Coleman Cox for the position 17 on the Legislative Policy Committee. Any discussion?
I will say that again, with Stacy Michelson taking a much more active role in lobbying and supporting board members, the Legislative Policy Committee positions are going to be more important than I think they've ever been in terms of really pushing the legislators and informing local board districts about what's going on and the opportunity that we can have to lobby and make a difference. So I would put my support definitely behind Heather, yes, Heather, and make sure that you're as successful as possible.
I gladly accept the nomination and the challenge. Thank you.
And I would just say, Heather, thanks for representing us. I appreciate that. It's a big time commitment, like Chris said, and so we appreciate that a lot.
Right. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Yes, huge thank you to Chris and Heather for stepping up and expanding our influence for our kids.
And I'll just say, just as a reminder for Heather, we have paperwork to turn in now. So you'll have to make sure and get your application in, get your stuff in. It goes to OSBA. So it doesn't come back through here in order to get that approved in any way. You do that and get it sent in. And I think there's deadlines and it's deadline September 30th.
Yeah, end of the month. And I can definitely help you with any of that paperwork if you need
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
You can nag me anytime, sir.
Okay, the next item is an adjustment to daytime place of 25-26 board meetings. So at our July meeting, the board discussed and voted to adopt the Wednesday proposed schedule for board meetings. While that has a speculative time, with some of the schedule conflicts that Heather Coleman Cox brought up earlier, we're trying to find creative solutions to help maximize participation on the board. I would summarize my recollection of the discussion that it came down to the volume of student activities that are happening on Thursdays versus Wednesdays. That was the discussion that we've had every year for the last 3 years, and it has never been unanimous. In my recollection, we've never unanimously said, let's do Wednesday, but it's been reaffirmed over the last several years. My goal is to maximize participation and also give us maximal opportunity to experience our students' excellence, which is something that I've personally benefited from over the last few years. There's nothing as inspiring as watching students be amazing. And that's really what opportunities have opened up for me. That's my own narrative, which I'm not supposed to dwell on. So I'm trying to get creative here, and we're trying to get creative, and credit Dr. Klinger, who's trying to get creative at shifting our schedule around in order to accommodate all of those interests in a way that's addresses it. So what we have proposed is a change to the work session start times, which would begin here in just 2 weeks. That would shift from 6 p.m. to 4 p.m. Those meetings, by the way, for public used to be held at Cal. Those will now be held here, not in this chamber, but in the conference room. So that's what we've proposed to the board. That's the item that we're considering today. And so with that, well, before I ask for a motion, and then we can get into discussion. So that would probably be the appropriate approach. I wanted to say, board, there's a secondary cost to this. And that's that we're probably going to shift away from meals at work sessions. All right. We will have like snackable stuff available should we adopt this schedule. But okay.
So Chair, are you unwilling to allow a revote?
my position would be that we have discussed it in a public session with the information, no new information provided.
I provided lots of new information. I provided the gravity and weight of the benefit of the program. I provided the absence of the diversity on in this on this board with my diminished presence. I provided more information.
At this time, I'd open up for a motion.
Open up for a
Yeah,
motion to,
Heather, you'd be welcome to propose a motion. We weren't here to consider the other schedule because we considered it less than 60 days ago. If you want to propose a motion, we can discuss it. That's probably, if that's what you want to bring forward, that's probably the way to do it. And then we can have that discussion with a motion on the table.
okay, I would like to propose a motion for a revote of the board meetings on on Thursdays opposed to Wednesdays.
Okay. I'm only getting in the procedural side of it. So the motion, without putting words in your mouth, that's what I want to check. The motion is to consider adopting the Thursday proposed schedule that was brought to the board in July.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Sarah, does that work? Okay. So there's a motion on the table.
I would second it so we can have the discussion.
Okay, it's been moved by Heather, second by Chris, to reconsider the adoption of the Thursday board meeting and business meeting and work session schedule that was first presented to the board in July. I'll now open it up for discussion, and I'll just look for kind of equal time around the board. So I'll start. David, do you have anything you want to discuss? Okay. Chris?
Yeah, because I have a little bit of historical with this, certainly. I was part of I don't know how many millennia that we had it on Thursdays. It was a few years. But in years past, we stayed away from Wednesdays because Wednesdays were days that were predominantly related to community activities that were not necessarily school-related activities, and family activities that were not necessarily related to school activities. And so we just stayed away from that and became to Thursdays. There has been some impact to staff to prep the meeting for Wednesdays. That it just kind of moves it on the schedule of when things are, for them to be able to get information to us in a timely manner. We've asked for it definitely to have it ahead of time as much as possible so that we can be prepared to ask the questions we need to prepare. I have in a safe space with board members that I trust and respect, I will say that I much prefer the opportunity to go visit classrooms during the day when there's activities going on and seeing things that are happening during the school day with school, and not necessarily activities that go on in the evenings. It's a different type of activity, and there are certainly more of them available to be able to attend. And I've attended some, whether it's an athletic event, a music event, a performance event. I have done those and have sometimes done them and then come and change my clothes so that I could be ready for the board meeting. It's again, as a historical part, it has felt odd and off to have it on Wednesdays. I'll just say that straight up. It has been Thursdays for so long, and I don't know how they originally decided on Thursdays. When I got on the board, that's just what it was. It was Thursdays. And some of the opportunities I think that were brought up about things on Wednesdays or Thursdays or Fridays or Mondays repeat at different times for different schools. And so I'm not sure how much of that is a consideration compared to attendance by board members. And um, it is unusual that we have all board members in attendance because of our various work schedules and things. So it is challenging to make sure that we have a day of the week that works for everyone. And unusual circumstances come up, and I do feel like the work that Heather has mentioned and the opportunity, whether it came up at the time that we were having the vote or was in process at the time, feels like it needs to have some consideration. I will admit that I don't know what the impact is to the other board members. I've not talked to or heard of what the direct impact is with their family to move it from a Wednesday back to the Thursdays. But it does seem, if we are trying to view things in new opportunities and new board members that are coming on, that we at least consider doing this accommodation to move it to a day that Heather could fully participate in the activity of the board. So those are my thoughts around.
Thanks, Kristen. Heather, I'm going to move this way and is that okay? Brenna, do you have any?
When like this first, we talked about this back in July, I guess it was. I didn't realize some of the questions I could ask. So, one of the things that I didn't like really consider when it came to like the schedule part of it is like what activities are actually happening on certain days and the impact on our district staffs. And so, am I allowed to ask Dr. Klinger or Mr. Cook what is the benefits to a Thursday versus Wednesday meeting as far as activities go from like the school standpoint? Um, is there the availability to move those activities to a Wednesday? I know that sports is a little bit different because it's ran through OSAA. And so I know that those are a little bit different, or even like other sports is just ran through some different things. So are you guys allowed to speak into just the impact of, or any other district staff? I don't know how I would ask that, so.
I'll weigh in a little bit. You're correct about the sports piece. And I know, Holly, one of the things you did before the July meeting was look at the OSAA schedules and really look at the sports. And it seemed that more fell on Thursdays than on Wednesdays. In terms of things that we do have scheduling control over, we have always tended to try to avoid board meeting nights, whether that's a Wednesday or a Thursday. So choir concerts or building held events, we always try to have them do the opposite of whatever the board meetings are. So, and we are all happy to accommodate whatever the need is in terms of supporting this conversation, whatever the board decides tonight.
I think that answers all my questions. If if it is easier as like a district staff, that would be like super helpful to know that to prepare for these meetings, like you guys are a huge part of that. And so I think that's a super important piece. Also, Heather, I love that you're wanting to get out there and learn something new. And so I also like agree that that's a super key and important piece of what you're doing here on the board. So.
Other discussion, Sean, Holly?
Okay, that worked. Well, no, it's me. Could be my hearing aids, but it hasn't affected it before. Weird. Is it fine?
Yeah, I think it is.
I have, after all that, I really don't have anything else to say other than what I said last month, I guess it was July, almost a month ago. I am very much in favor of Wednesdays. That way we can participate in the activities as much as we can for our students. And I see it as a yes, and we could go to the classroom and attend those, if we have them on the meetings on Wednesday. So that's just my opinion and my point of view.
Holly?
Um, sorry. Tracy touched a little bit on what I had done before the July meeting, and that was to go through the schedule, not only on OSAA, but specifically Gresham High School and Barlow High School, our school calendar, because that's where our students are. And there is a third more activities that happen on Thursday than on Wednesday. If I remember right, I did not keep that piece of paper because after the vote, I shredded it. So I guess the other thing I would say that's part of the reason that Wednesdays, I'm in favor of Wednesdays. The other part is that when people consider being on the school board and have questions about that, the number one question is the time commitment. What's the time commitment? And a lot of that is centered around evening times and how much of my own students things will I have to miss. And so when I initially got on the board, we were meeting on Thursdays. And the reason that I was the one to propose that we move to Wednesdays is because that allows board members to miss less of the school activities, whether that's their own students or whether that's just our students in general. I believe it's important we as a board go and support our students. Those are the things they're proud of. They're not as excited to share their academics always with us, but they love to share their activities with us. So I think it's meaningful for us to be there. I also think that as a parent, and I think it's important that we have some parents on our board, it's hard to make a commitment to a board for 4 years knowing that you're going to miss a lot of your own students' activities in athletics. Now, that being said, yes, this does personally affect me to have it on Wednesdays. It also doesn't. I mean, tonight I'm missing my daughter's last game of her senior water polo career. It does not always personally benefit me. It benefits the majority of us most of the time. So it's not just personal, although there is personal gain because I have 3 students in our school that all participate in athletics and activities. That's not why I made the motion 3 years ago. That's not why I support Wednesdays now. And I don't want to diminish the work that you're doing. I think that's an amazing opportunity. But either way we look at it, we're adjusting it for a personal scheduling conflict. So that being said, I also don't necessarily like to set the precedent that we revisit a vote after a vote's taken because we didn't like the outcome of the vote. We haven't done that before. I think there's a reason for that. And so that's all I'd say.
Yeah, there's give a little bit of historical on that.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah.
So 2 things, and thank you, Holly, for your comments. We have revisited votes. Doesn't happen very often, but it has happened. And just kind of doing a brief looking back on my own time here. When I got on the board, I was one of the few that had kids under the age of 5. And most people who historically get on school boards have been retired people because they had the time and money to do it. Because there is a cost for us to do things differently. And so it has been a change in the last 5 or 6 years where there are younger people getting on boards and people who have families. So the conversation changed. With that said, I'm still not sure about I'm sure I still don't like Wednesdays. I'm sorry, I still don't like Wednesdays. But I think that's where some of the change happened is that we have a younger board now and we have folks that have families that are involved in stuff. And I think that was it.
They all have some comments, but do you have more discussion? Sure.
So I just want to address a couple of things that were mentioned. I am also a parent with students in Gresham-Barlow School District, Hogan Cedars Elementary School. I am also a big sports fan, and extracurricular activity fan. However, I'm retired also, so I do have time to commit to things that are going to increase me to help increase this community. I I'm finding it hard and struggling a bit with the fact that an activity, a sport activity, or a choir class, or something along those means, which are offered on more than just Wednesday, is being considered as more important than a child behavioral health um, knowledge and ability to bring all of that knowledge to help us decide in policy. I'm I'm struggling with how anyone can see that as equal, as there there being a question as to which one outweighs the other. One is a benefit for a school or two schools, but the other is a benefit for the entire district, for the entire community that we serve. And I believe that this board, as Ms. Howard has indicated, there's going to be new members. There's going to be different races and cultural backgrounds that are represented here. And so it's not, that would be a great thing to have a board that is reflective of what America is, of what this community is. And diminishing my presence because of a scheduling conflict of someone being able to attend a sporting event. I'm struggling with that. And I just hope that this board recognizes that diversity and inclusion and fairness and equality, things that are up for things that are currently in the condition of this country under attack, that we can stand, make a stand as a community and make sure that this school board is reflective of fairness, equality, diversity, and made up of people with different backgrounds that can bring different ideas and input to decisions and policies that we make for this community. The voters voted and I was elected. I was the only person that ran opposed and I was elected, and I would like to fulfill in 100% terms my duties as a duly elected school board member. Thank you.
I have some input.
David?
We were all elected to these positions. We were all elected by a body of our peers. We all have distinct backgrounds. We all have distinct feelings. We all have distinct political views. And that's what makes us such a great board. Heather has a great opportunity. I see Chris's point of view. I think that having students in this school district in sports is just as important as everybody else's view on this board. So me not having students here anymore and me being as flexible as I should be or could be, this is hard because we've already voted on this. And to bring it up again, in my mind, it puts some of us in a different spot. So what I have to make my decision on is from what I sit on the board for, which is the staff, the students, and the teachers. So my question is, in the past, for the district, is it less money to have a meeting on a Thursday? Is it less stress to have a meeting on a Thursday? Or is it less on a Wednesday? What works best for this district? and that'd be Dr. Klinger.
I would say that historically staff have preferred Thursdays as it just makes it a shorter week to kind of get through after a long meeting. I will also say that the recommendation to potentially consider a 4 to 6 o'clock scenario was favorable to staff as well. But historically, I would say staff have preferred Thursdays over Wednesdays.
If there was a vote and the vote went through Thursdays and it was a 4 o'clock start time, does that still give us time to get to those games, get to those activities?
I don't know if you're asking the question of me, David. I don't think in general, no. I think most activities start shortly after the school day. And then, if you have double header type situations, which is the kind of winter sports side, double header opportunities where you might have a women's team and then the men's team. Those obviously start right after school. Middle school concerts, in my experience, have been shortly after, more in the early evening time frame. High school concerts are later in the evening. I think, well, I guess, David, do you have any other comments? And then I can.
Yeah, just one more clarifying comment. I think everybody's background, inclusion, sports, community type, as this board, I think we all come together collaboratively. I don't think anybody on this board is not trying to work with each other. And again, this is a very, very hard decision for me because we just voted on this.
Yeah. I'll get to a vote here pretty well, I think is, and I guess I apologize to the public that we're kind of absence out. Welcome to board work. I have pretty deep-seated concerns about procedurally. And I voiced that to Heather early, and I voiced it to Chris, who brought it up. I hadn't had a discussion with anybody else on the board about it, but procedurally to the reason why Robert's rules exist and the reason why parliamentary process exists. Brief history lesson. It was started by a West Point grad, which is absolutely on par, who was trying to navigate church meetings. That's why Robert's rules exist. Parliamentary process, because they'd sit and they'd do this all day and they just cycle facts and perspectives. And in the end, they needed a mechanism to get to a vote and move on to business. And we did that. We did that in July. And now we're opening it back up. So procedurally, I have some concerns, but that's in the past now. I would say, reflecting just a little bit personally, I have work conflicts on Thursdays that happen throughout the year. Not every day or not every week in the way that Heather's conflicts are, but they're going to hit pretty hard in April. That will cause me to miss meetings. That has always been kind of the last consideration for me. I agree with what David was saying. I think we all bring diverse perspectives. And I think sometimes, based on some of the email traffic we get as board members, the public might not be aware of the things we do give up to sit up here. I've missed kids' birthdays. I've said before, I've twice been sitting at this dais while my family received a foster sibling. So to go home and try to navigate, Steph doing all the bedtime routine alone with a child in crisis, missed plenty of kids' activities, a lot of them actually. To sit up here and do work like this, which I think all of us who have run for this position, that's the real reflection. Like, can I make an impact? And is that impact worthy of the sacrifice. And conversations like this sometimes are, well, they tip the scale in a certain direction for sure. In my own time, nothing has invigorated that feeling of, nothing has restored me from a feeling of futility like a Gordon Russell band concert, or the alumni concert at Barlow, or a performing arts event at Gresham High School in that brand new gorgeous theater that this community produced. Nothing, and I have been in the classroom, nothing invigorates the work that I have done personally as being present for our students' excellence. Since we shifted to Wednesdays, I have been able to be at more events without conflicts here. That's a personal lived experience. That's not what is true for everybody. So I think that's the nature of my comment. I struggle with the relevance of the history of meeting on Thursdays as well. I don't think that's a real relevant or a real relevant point, because we've been on Wednesdays for 3 years now. And so this wasn't new information that we met on Wednesdays. I think the surety of meeting on Wednesdays was definitely up for interpretation. So with that, how about I stop talking in circles? Is there any other discussion before I move to the vote?
I just want to reiterate that Chris has indicated that there has been revolt, that this is not a brand new once in a lifetime or one-time occurrence. And our dear superintendent has indicated that the staff that supports this very board prefers Thursday. They support us. They put everything together for us. And if we can help them, support them as well, then that's even more of a reason to switch to Thursdays. The staff that supports us says that Thursdays work better for them. That's huge. And that's everything that you just said, Chairman Blake. I definitely identify with that, but I just want to reiterate that those types of activities are not excluded to Wednesdays. There are other days of the week that you can attend those activities. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just sharing my lived experience, which is that it is much easier when when our meetings are on Wednesdays. Okay. So the motion is on the table from Heather, seconded by Chris, to adopt the proposed Thursday schedule from, I believe it was the July 2nd board meeting. That sound right? It was. Okay. So that's the motion on the table. Adopting this would shift the schedule for the work session and the board business meetings back to Thursdays. So that's the motion. All those who are in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? Aye. Yeah, David. David, I think you're muted. We're looking for an aye or a nay.
Aye.
My encouragement to the new board members is to vote your heart and vote what works. And we're a collaborative, compatible board who tends to actually like each other. All right, no matter what.
Sorry. This is I don't have a personal experience, so I'm gonna say aye on Thursday.
Okay, and confirming, David, was your vote aye? Okay. So that will shift our board business meetings and work session to Thursdays. We do have an additional,
I will say, like, that I tend to be out of town on Thursdays. So. But the vote's been taken.
there's additional language proposed that was originally pertinent because of the Wednesday meeting schedule adjustment to move those work sessions to 4 p.m. I'm kind of just looking for a general, well, that can still be on the table for a Thursday meeting. I'm just kind of looking for a general view on that. Do we want to take that consideration up?
I'm open to whatever schedule on Thursday that you all would like to do. I'm totally down for it.
Does it help or hinder to have a 4 o'clock time in general? I know, and I did talk with Chair Peterson. I could have made the 4 o'clock work. It would make some changes in what I do with my business, but it was workable. If there's a cost savings, Dr. Klinger, and we don't get food anymore, I guess I'll starve.
The cost savings would be snacks instead of dinner.
I'll starve.
I'm not going to use unofficial parliamentary language. I think maybe this is something we take up. Our next work session, we're going to continue to have at 6 p.m.
Hey, David, we moved into the large conference room. We've moved into the large conference room, David, to get things restarted since we had technical issues.
Here. I'm gonna reconvene. We, due to technical difficulties in the council chambers room, we have moved to a conference room. but we're back on Zoom and so we're able to proceed. David, can you hear us okay? All right, thanks for everybody's ability. Still on information items, we have an integrated programs annual report by Michelle Cook and Heidi Lasher.
All right, good evening, Chair Peterson, Board of Directors. The district is required to provide an annual report on the integrated programs, which includes funding from a variety of grant resources, including student investment account funds, high school success, Perkins, early indicator and intervention systems, and targeted support and improvement. In future years, this will also include the early literacy grant funding. ODE's annual report consists of 3 narrative questions and is due by September 30th. Throughout the year, grant recipients have been asked to report expenditures, answer reflective narrative questions, and report on progress markers, which will help inform overall progress and the annual report. After being presented to the Board of Directors, the annual report questions and responses will be posted on the Gresham-Barlow website. And we have a short presentation for you. Yes.
Oh, you know what? I left the clicker out there, so just tell me when you need to
Okay,
go to
we'll
the
say
next
next
slide.
slide. We got this. So this is our annual report for 24-25. Next slide. Oh, there you go. You're there. ODE's annual report consists of 3 narrative questions. And throughout the year, we've been asked to report expenditures, overall reflections on narratives, and our progress markers to help inform overall progress. This also serves as a requirement for SIA recipients, as we are required by statute to review on our progress on an annual basis through an annual progress report. Next slide. This is a snapshot of the distinct performance measures and processes used in monitoring and evaluation process for implementation under this integrated guidance. So the top part of the graphic shows the 4 common goals. The next layers are accountability, including targets and requirements that we follow. And the next layer shows how progress markers fit in, and the last layers are reporting and review. Next slide.
All right. So in March, when we came and presented the plan that's coming up for the next 2 years for 25-27. And so this report, what gets kind of confusing is this is about the grant the last 2 years. And so at the time when we presented the 23-25 integrated grant, there was 4 different key outcomes. Looking ahead, there's 5, but just to kind of, as you think about, well, where did the early literacy go? This is because it was new last year. So you can see similar themes to what we're continuing. Again, we're going deeper with, we have common buckets, but as we're implementing and we're going deeper with things, there's different strategies within each of the areas that we are continuing to refine as we follow the data and watch what we need to be doing. Next slide. I'm gonna apologize for all the notes, but I was trying to fit it on one slide. So there's some bullet points here. So this, the first question that ODE likes us to share on is kind of reflecting on our plan implementation and how do you see your progress contributing to the outcomes and strategies. So when we think about those 4 outcomes that we've been focusing on, these are some of the highlights. And most recent is when we think about applying an equity lens, that's been a huge part of our work. And one of the areas that was really specific that it showed up is there was a very comprehensive process we used in the budgeting process where we're looking at how are each of the decisions impacting different groups. And there was a lot of intentionality around really being thoughtful around that. And that was a kind of a newer process to really try to bring to life how to use an equity lens when you're doing something as technical as budgeting. We also had a lot of different types of community and family engagement. We're continuing to try to get better at 2-way engagement with families, and some of the highlights, in addition to our cultural and Latino nights, is our district equity committee. And you might remember last spring that group came and presented, and there was parents and there were students, and it was such a powerful presentation. So that's a great example of bringing more of that voice into our conversations and decisions. In terms of looking at multi-tiered system of support, really looking at how do we do a better job of disaggregating the data and really looking at, when we look at by race, how are those outcomes improving? Are we closing the gap? Are we getting closer to more equitable outcomes? And so really following the data and being responsive to the data. Other things, literacy initiatives, those were a major focus. There's a lot of professional development over the last 5 years, the last 2 years. And then as we move into next year, or move into this year, we've got that adolescent literacy framework coming online. So there's lots of alignment work that's coming. So it's kind of in bridging what we were doing to what we're doing now, kind of working on that, again, example of deepening our implementation. Across a lot of schools, we're seeing schools do a lot more empathy interviews where they're talking to students about their experience and really using that information to inform how do we do a better job. We've done it systematically with literacy adoptions and attendance systems, but we're seeing like at the high school, they're really talking to kids about like, what are the reasons that you go to classes? We're trying to tackle attendance. And they're like, well, we go to class when we like our teacher and if what we're learning is relevant. And so those are two themes. And so we're really trying to use that as we're thinking about, well, if we do this, is that going to be in alignment? Is that going to move the dial in those particular areas? You've heard a lot about our transformative SEL curriculum, and so continuing to deepen that. We're moving forward with curriculum. We had a lot of adult professional development that was happening in the last few years, and now we're moving into the implementation this year. So kind of again, that transition from what we were doing to what we're doing going forward. And one of our highlights that we shared at the board retreat was there's been a multi-layered focus on student attendance just across the system. And we are seeing that increase over the 2-year period. And so that's like a huge celebration point for us in terms of when we're all working together and we're all, going all in on it, it starts to move the dial. And we're seeing it show up in 6 out of 7 of our subgroups. So there's more of an equitable impact there. So that's an excitement for us as well. So that was kind of the response. And this again was in the white paper that was attached, but these were the highlights that came out of it. And then the second question ODE asked us to share on is where have you experienced barriers or challenges or impediments as we've been implementing things? I think that there's, as we continue to strive for how do we do a better job serving our student focus groups, our EML learners and our special education students, we're continuing to look at strategies for how we can boost engagement. Oftentimes those services interfere with access to some of our CTE courses, the very things that keep kids engaged. So that's a constant thing that we're grappling with. I think everybody's grappling with, and there was an easy answer. I think we've all figured it out. We'd all be doing it by now. So trying to figure that out. Continuing to look at course scheduling and making sure that we're getting that access, making sure that access is equitable to higher coursework and making sure there's the supports in place for it. Just working a lot with the high schools. How do you find more support options for kids within this infrastructure of a 7-period day where every minute is consumed with something? So grappling with those sorts of challenges. We also are looking at how to be more consistent and systematic in our use of our engagement liaisons. Lots of those folks were coming online as we were reopening from COVID, and our principals are like, hey, we're ready to start really bringing those folks into more of an MTSS framework. And so that's something that we saw was a challenge, but it's a plan for this year as well. So it's kind of that bridging, again, going deeper into that work. And I get to do that work, I'm excited. And then looking at how do we maintain equitable access to our career and technical education with declining funds and rising costs. So those are some of the challenges we continue to grapple with. And so that was also in the report that was shared.
Okay, next slide. So narrative number 3 is to report on how our metrics and our reflection on our progress towards our metrics and describe how activities are supporting progress towards our targets. So we don't have we reported to you data that we had last time we met at the board retreat. And then in March, we reported how we did towards our targets. And at that time in March, we had met all of our targets for the 22 to 2024 time period, but we don't have current data from ODE towards our targets. So in reflecting on our metrics, we are seeing improvement in our attendance, and we've reported those data points to you. And we work towards systematic implementation of attendance strategies, which Michelle reported at our board retreat. Also in the previous year, we met our 3rd grade ELA English Language Arts proficiency target. And we continue to work toward deepening implementation of our strategies and our routines, which we talked about the Talk Cite Write routine and our phonics instruction and embedding those routines and instruction with supports for our emerging multilingual learners and our students with IEPs. And in the previous year, we've met our target for 9th grade on track and graduation rates. And the ninth grade teams continue to review the data that's available to them to support course scheduling process and ensuring that focal group students who need access to co-planning and co-teaching, they're prioritized, and there's been an emphasis at the secondary level on co-planning and co-teaching. And also working towards strengthening that universal supports their core instruction for ninth grade students. Yeah, that's what we have in our presentation.
the
that
report.
greater guidance.
Board, any questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll take the first one, you can pick one. So you talked about looking sure I put that also. Equity focused budgeting. Is there, without going into a whole lot, because we got the snapshot, what does that look like? Are there questions that are asked of that? What are the questions asked? Because that's been a comment in the budget committee over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
How's that working?
It's been great. Oregon Department of Ed has given us an equity lens to use, and it asks questions like, who will be impacted by this? Who will be negatively impacted by this? How might this impact your focus groups that you're trying to be sure that you're, finding, as you're making adjustments, we're not inadvertently making things harder for certain groups of kids and actually inadvertently creating barriers for kids. So there's a series of questions, and I don't have them memorized.
Okay.
But those were the questions that we put in there. So as we were looking at each line item, it was like, okay, if we were to make this reduction, what is the impact? And who is impacted? How are they impacted? And is it gonna work against us making progress on our outcomes and strategies? I don't know if you'd add more.
Well, so just to clarify, it wasn't so much in how we built our budget, it was more about how we planned the reductions that we made last year for our budget, was through this process. And some of the questions were, is this required? Like, there's some things that are required that we can't cut, right? And so just looking, as Michelle shared, about those things helped us kind of tailor some of our decision making to help us prioritize.
So that could be used then in preparing a budget as well. It could be a little bit more, I can see the budget committee maybe being a high level part of that.
And at least knowing more about some of those layers of questioning that we use, yes.
Michelle, I just had a comment. When I spoke to Carla about career innovation, she said that sustainability was a huge problem. Is that what you're seeing also with this initiative? And I want to let you know that I'm working really hard to bring on more community partners. And not just the partner, but their money as well. I have a meeting October 13th with Cola's Construction. It's one of the largest construction companies in the state. And so their CEO, he wrote a book, A Kid's Book, Careers in Construction. So they're interested in coming on board and kind of trying to bring some money and see what we can do there. So I'm hoping that was one of the platforms I ran on, is to provide alternatives to college, right? Let's get our kids trained in skilled labor while they're in high school. Once they graduate, they can roll right into a great career earning job.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And it is exactly the work that Carla's doing. So this integrated, this presentation, hopefully we're like, yeah, we've heard about that because we've given you a lot of this information at a retreat, and then prior, this is like the official ODE report that we have to do and send them minutes that we've given you this information. But these integrated grants include Measure 98, which is the grant that funds some of the CTE work that Carla oversees. So it all is very much connected. There's multiple grants that are part of this big cluster that's all focused towards accomplishing these goals that they were speaking to. Yeah.
So good. You mentioned equitable access to CTE. I have some list of things that I would think would need to be looked at as far as equitable access. Poverty, male, female, ethnicity, language. Are there other things then that are looked at as well?
As a ones that are jumping at, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because sometimes we focus on one and not realize that poverty, if you can't get somewhere, if you can't speak the language, if you are excluded because they think girls don't want to do it or just guys want, I mean, it's all that stuff, so, okay.
That's all part of the conversation.
And small plug, when Measure 98 was put in place, OSBA didn't want to support it. And I remember specifically lobbying hard for the OSBA organization to support it, so you're welcome. It was a reason I was there. All right. I'm old. Get over it.
Chris brings it up. I'm just gonna highlight a miniature soapbox that you guys have heard maybe before, but my concern with some of this, not the efforts, which are laudable, but ODE, I think, loses sight of our young boys. They don't view them as underserved. They view them as the primary served of public education in their definition, which doesn't jive with our academic outcomes. It does not jive with our disciplinary data, and it doesn't jive with our disengagement figures. So my mini soapboxes, I will always be interested in seeing that, kind of what you alluded to. What are our outcomes looking like across genders? Any other comments, questions? Thank you. Next up is financial report. Pete, I don't want to take all of your thunder, but I think there's a lot of stuff still up in the air with it. Do you have anything to, and that's not a product of, there's a lot happening. There's audits, there's the economic forecasts, there's a lot that goes in. There's the enrollment data that's still up in the air. So what other thunder could I steal from you, or would you like to?
That started July 1, so really this is just a month's worth of expenses, right?
I mean, you nailed it. If there's nothing else, I just wanted to include in that preamble to the report that you see, that actual sheet with all those numbers, is those numbers are just based off of projections of 1 month's data. It's not enough. Once we have those things that I talked about, particularly the September payroll numbers, we will have a much better sense of how the year is going to look and can plan better. John and Tracy and I are all very, very keen to see what happens on September 23rd. That will let us know if the budget work that was done, that very, very difficult budget work that was done with y'all stewardship and support, is really going to meet the road. We're going to see what happens. We're all bated breath.
And we may not have made sense of it all by the October.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was just gonna have to follow up, so maybe like November-ish is there. Okay.
Yeah.
What you're all aware of, and we'll keep talking at the 10,000 foot level. We've reduced $8 million in the spring. That's hard. Makes sense. I mean, there's fewer resources out there. When we look at the budget picture at the state level, some of the federal tax change implications for revenue of the state, title changes, we may be facing some changes in the spring that are in the negative. Don't know that for sure yet, but I need that to be out there too, because we could be in the same position before.
Right, any questions? All right. Announcements. We, with that adopted change, just by September 18th, I want to clarify with the superintendent, is that too near to move, or are we okay?
I think we are probably okay. Sarah, do you? So it'd be from the 16th to the 17th.
17th to the
17th.
Oh, I'm in 2026. That's. Russian would be here, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, I mean, space availability, we should be fine. The room is available. So we'd have a meeting space. That's not important.
Is that gonna be
It'd be here.
here?
It would be here. Yeah, it would be here in this room. So yeah, I think we're good.
Then our board work session will be September 18th, 2025, right here. October 2nd will be in council chambers. I want to just thank the board. Our confidence in one another's integrity and intention will make a difference in students' lives. If we lose that confidence in each other, nothing good comes from it. And so I appreciate the that you each spoke from your perspective. We got to a conclusion. And we'll move from there. Maintain that confidence in one another. We'll be in a good place.
Just to clarify, we didn't vote out there on 4 o'clock or 6
We did
o'clock,
not.
so that means it's staying at 6 o'clock.
It is at 6 o'clock. I would, I didn't detect a whole lot of interest in taking that up, and I don't know if that had to do with fatigue of conversation or now we got to reconsider day and everything. So if that is something we want to bring back to the board, I'd encourage you to contact Holly or me and Tracy, and we can work that back toward an agenda if that's something you want to consider.
For that one, put on the calendar 6.
That one is 6.
Okay.
Yep, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock for the regular board. With that, we're adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for helping
Thanks,
us.
David.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Hank.
Have a great night, everybody.
Whatever it was, tornado.